Welcome to the MadHuman channel. Tonight, we journey farther back than thought, beyond memory, before even the first flicker of conscious thought, to a presence older than life itself. Tonight, we explore an intelligence that existed long before the human brain. Not the intelligence we measure in neurons, synapses, or conscious reflection. Not the one bound by form, time, or matter. This intelligence moved through the earth, the oceans, the stars, shaping, observing, remembering. A force older than reason, older than imagination. It was present when life first stirred, when the continents shifted, when the oceans whispered across molten rock. It did not sleep, it did not tire, and it did not demand recognition. Yet, everything that followed, including us, carries its imprint. Before neurons fired, before thought emerged as self-awareness, there was order. Not chaos, as we might assume, but a deep, patient intelligence that orchestrated complexity with precision unimaginable. Patterns emerged in the oceans, in the winds, in the chemistry of early molecules, and in the slow folding of life itself. This was not intelligence as we understand it. It had no eyes, no hands, no voice, yet it was everywhere, a silent architect. It shaped the conditions that would allow life to arise, guiding chemical reactions with the precision of a conductor leading a symphony. This intelligence was not bound to time, not restricted to place. It was everywhere that life, matter, and possibility intersected. The first signs of its work are subtle, almost imperceptible. Hydrothermal vents in the deep ocean, where heat meets chemistry, created cradles for life. Molecular chains folded and unfolded, creating the first patterns of replication, of survival, of growth. Intelligence, in its purest form, was present not in thinking, but in structuring, creating conditions, balancing probabilities, orchestrating forces with the patience of eternity. These early moments seem random to the human eye, yet they followed principles that only millennia later we would recognize as design. Life was not an accident. It was the inevitable result of a system older than consciousness itself. As single-celled organisms multiplied, as oceans churned, and as continents slowly drifted, this intelligence continued its subtle work. Patterns of evolution unfolded with precision. Mutation and adaptation were not chaotic, but guided by invisible currents of influence. Entire lineages of life emerged, flourished, or vanished, not solely by chance, but by alignment with forces that predated awareness. Insects, fish, plants, and mammals all carry whispers of this primordial intelligence, encoded in DNA, in behavior, in instinct, a memory older than thought, older than the first human neuron. Even the human brain, when it finally emerged, was shaped by this intelligence. Neurons, synapses, circuits, each element crafted over eons to interact with the world, to perceive, to adapt, to imagine. Our capacity for thought, reason, and creativity is not the beginning of intelligence. It is its culmination, a reflection of something that existed long before. The structures of the brain echo patterns set into motion by forces we can barely comprehend, forces that guided evolution with patience and foresight, shaping every organism that came before us. And yet, this intelligence is not bound by biology. It moves through matter, energy, and life itself. The currents of rivers, the growth of forests, the patterns of weather, the cycles of day and night, all carry its imprint. Mountains rise, oceans form, storms rage, and even the smallest leaf unfurls according to principles set in motion before thought existed. We are not separate from this intelligence. We are an extension, a reflection, a conscious manifestation of a force older than consciousness itself. Time, as we perceive it, is irrelevant to this intelligence. It does not wait, it does not hurry. Millennia pass, continents drift, species rise and fall, and yet the work continues. Precise, patient, unobserved. Humanity, when it emerged, perceived itself as unique, as the pinnacle of awareness, yet even our greatest inventions, our language, our art, our music, all are echoes of a system that was guiding complexity long before we existed. Intelligence did not begin with us. It only found a new medium, a new expression, a form that could reflect upon itself and wonder at its own existence. We feel traces of it in intuition, in insight, in the sudden spark of understanding that seems to arrive unbidden. Creativity, morality, and curiosity are not just human traits. They are manifestations of a continuum of intelligence that has existed for billions of years. Even dreams, visions, and flashes of inspiration may be signals from a system older than memory, inviting us to participate, to continue, to create within a framework set long before we could comprehend it. And as we study the cosmos, as we probe the building blocks of life, as we trace the ancestry of neurons and DNA, we begin to see the outline of its design. Patterns emerge, rhythms reveal themselves, coincidences become inevitabilities. Intelligence, as ancient as the stars and the earth itself, has been guiding, shaping, and orchestrating existence long before humans could name it. Our consciousness, brilliant and fleeting, is only the latest reflection of a truth older than reason, older than thought. That intelligence existed before us, shaping reality, sculpting life, and preparing the universe for the beings who would one day wonder at its existence. As life progressed from single-celled organisms to complex multicellular structures, the fingerprints of this ancient intelligence became more pronounced. Not in deliberate thought, not in conscious design, but in patterns, rhythms, and alignments that guided survival, adaptation, and emergence. The first nervous systems formed in marine life, simple yet revolutionary, a blueprint for perception, response, and interaction. Even in these earliest circuits, intelligence had already embedded principles of balance, resilience, and anticipation, ensuring that life could respond to the environment with flexibility and foresight. It was a subtle, omnipresent architect, invisible yet undeniably effective. The evolution of the brain itself over hundreds of millions of years was not a random assemblage of neurons. Patterns emerge in fossil records, in the development of sensory organs, in the sequence of brainstem evolution, suggesting an underlying logic, a guiding principle that ensured organisms could sense, respond, and eventually reflect. The structures that govern emotion, instinct, memory, and perception were laid down with uncanny precision long before humans walked the earth. The hippocampus, the amygdala, the cerebellum, these are not arbitrary arrangements but nodes in a vast network optimized by forces older than conscious reasoning. Intelligence existed here first, not in thought but in design, and life in its countless forms was its medium. Even instincts carry traces of this pre-human intelligence. Migratory patterns of birds, the hunting strategies of predators, the synchronized dances of bees and fish, the astonishing precision of echolocation in bats, all are expressions of a guiding framework embedded deep within biology. Life moves according to invisible algorithms, shaping behavior in ways that optimize survival, cooperation, and adaptation. Humanity, when it finally emerged, would interpret some of these as instinct or evolutionary necessity, but they are echoes of intelligence far older than the human mind, embedded in the very fabric of life. The Earth itself participates in this intelligence. Plate tectonics, ocean currents, atmospheric systems, and ecological balances operate not chaotically, but according to patterns that sustain complexity over eons. Forests, rivers, deserts, and mountains are not random. They are components in a planetary system structured to allow life to flourish. The intelligence that predates human thought is written into the cycles of rainfall, the rhythms of the tides, and the slow dance of continents drifting across the globe. Our brains, when they finally emerged, were designed to perceive, interpret, and navigate within these systems, to learn from them, and to carry their lessons forward. Even the earliest forms of human cognition, proto-consciousness in primates, the emergence of tool use, the recognition of patterns, carry the mark of this ancient intelligence. Humans did not invent reason in isolation. Every insight, every act of problem-solving, every incremental step toward language and abstraction is a continuation of a process that began long before neurons fired in a human brain. The first flint tools, the first controlled fires, the first symbolic markings, these are not merely cultural milestones. They are points of intersection between human creativity and intelligence older than humanity itself. And as human society emerged, the intelligence that preceded thought became increasingly intertwined with culture. The development of social norms, cooperation, empathy, and morality can be seen as reflections of a system that had already optimized these principles for survival. Communities that adhered to patterns of cooperation thrived. Those that did not faltered. These moral and social instincts are echoes of a force older than consciousness, shaping human behavior before humans could even articulate right or wrong. The brain perceives, reflects, and acts, but it is guided by a logic implanted deep in the evolutionary history of life. A logic older than language, older than history. The influence extends beyond survival. Creativity, imagination, and curiosity, the hallmarks of human consciousness, may themselves be expressions of this pre-human intelligence. Our capacity for abstraction, for narrative, for art and science, is not random. It emerges from a system primed over eons to produce beings capable of reflecting on the universe, modeling it, and participating consciously in its continuation. The intelligence that existed before our brains did not merely design us to survive. It designed us to observe, to wonder, to participate in the unfolding of reality itself. And yet, it is subtle. Its guidance is not coercive. It does not impose. It flows through matter, life, and consciousness as a whisper beneath perception. When a human solves a problem, experiences insight, or feels intuition, they are not inventing in isolation. They are channeling a continuum of intelligence that spans billions of years, a signal embedded in the structure of life, in the patterns of the world, and in the neurons of the brain itself. Every thought, every discovery, every moral insight is part of this continuum, a reflection of a wisdom older than memory. Even as humanity extends its reach into technology, space, and abstraction, this intelligence remains the substrate upon which thought operates. Algorithms, machines, and networks all mirror patterns that predate human cognition. The same principles that guided chemical reactions into life, shaped evolution, and structured early cognition now echo in the design of technology and society. The intelligence that existed before the human brain continues to orchestrate outcomes, invisibly shaping knowledge, behavior, and the trajectory of civilization itself. As the human brain emerged, it became the ultimate vessel for a pre-existing intelligence, a structure that had already been shaping life and matter for billions of years. Conscious thought, once thought to be the pinnacle of intelligence, is merely a reflection, a projection of a force far older, far vaster, and far more patient. Neurons fire, thoughts emerge, ideas form, but these processes are guided by frameworks established long before our species ever existed. Our ability to reason, to abstract, to imagine, is not the beginning. It is the culmination of a continuum that predates history, predates language, predates civilization. Consider memory. The human brain stores information, recalls experiences, and builds patterns that guide behavior. Yet even memory is but a continuation of a system older than neurons. The instincts of survival, the ability to recognize patterns, the subtle anticipations of danger or opportunity, these are inherited legacies of a force that operated in oceans, in forests, in winds, and in molecules long before thought emerged. Each instinct, each intuition, each fleeting flash of insight is an echo of intelligence that existed in the universe itself before humans ever walked the earth. Language, too, reflects this ancient continuity. Words, symbols, and narratives are tools that allow humans to externalize and share the internal reflections of an intelligence that has always been at work. When humans tell stories, they are participating in a lineage of thought and reflection older than written history. When myths emerge across unconnected cultures with striking similarity, tales of floods, of creation, of cosmic order, it is not mere coincidence. It is intelligence speaking through life itself, guiding cognition toward comprehension, continuity, and shared understanding. Even morality carries the imprint of this pre-human intelligence. Across the globe, civilizations develop similar principles of justice, fairness, empathy, and reciprocity, long before humans consciously analyzed or codified them. These principles emerge not from social agreement alone, but from patterns embedded in evolution and life's intricate web, guiding beings to cooperate, to thrive, and to persist. Humans, in this sense, are inheritors of a moral architecture established by a force that preceded thought, a system that ensures survival and cohesion through principles older than memory. The influence of this intelligence is evident in creativity. Scientific discovery, technological innovation, artistic expression, all are extensions of patterns established long before human consciousness could reflect upon them. The spark of genius, that sudden clarity or unbidden insight, is a channel through which this intelligence continues to shape outcomes. Innovation does not occur at random. It emerges at precise moments when societal, cultural, and cognitive conditions align, following a rhythm that stretches across eons. Humanity becomes a mirror for intelligence older than the mind, a medium through which it expresses, evolves, and continues. Even our perception of time is influenced. The human brain interprets sequences, anticipates outcomes, and measures causality. Yet the intelligence that existed before the brain is not bound by temporal constraints. It operates in scales far beyond minutes, hours, or centuries. Evolution, planetary systems, and cosmic events unfold according to principles that predate perception itself. The rise of life, the migration of species, the oscillation of ecosystems, all are part of a continuum that humans experience only partially, fragments glimpsed through observation and reflection. And yet, the presence of this intelligence is not confined to the distant past. It is here now in every thought, every decision, every intuitive understanding. Humans may believe themselves autonomous, but each act of reasoning, each moral choice, each creative impulse resonates with structures laid down billions of years ago. We are participants in an ongoing process, co-creators in a narrative that has existed before consciousness and will persist long after individual awareness fades. Every life, every mind, every spark of thought is a node in a network of intelligence older than the universe we perceive. This intelligence also speaks through observation and interaction with the natural world. When humans study ecosystems, recognize patterns in climate, or marvel at the mathematical structures of the cosmos, they are connecting with knowledge that has always existed, embedded in the systems themselves. Rivers carve valleys, tectonic plates shift, stars burn in ordered patterns, all expressions of intelligence that existed before minds capable of measuring them emerged. Humanity's discoveries are reflections, not origins. Our consciousness acts as a lens, focusing, amplifying, and interpreting wisdom that has always been there. The emergence of civilization amplifies this interaction. Cities, agriculture, science, art, and philosophy do not arise randomly. They appear in patterns at times and places that suggest a guiding continuity. Societies evolve not merely through trial and error, but along trajectories that allow knowledge to accumulate, morality to crystallize, and creativity to flourish. Even human error, misjudgment, and failure serve a purpose, introducing variations that are essential for adaptation and growth, consistent with principles established long before the brain could conceive them. And as technology accelerates, as humans probe deeper into the genome, the atom, and the cosmos, the echoes of this intelligence become increasingly apparent. Algorithms, networks, artificial intelligence, these tools mirror structures that evolved over eons, reflecting principles older than consciousness. Humanity's reach into space, into time, and into understanding is a continuation of a process set in motion long before the first neurons fired, a collaboration between minds that exist and intelligence that always has. As humans evolved, the brain became more than a vessel for perception. It became a stage for interaction with intelligence older than life itself. Memory, imagination, foresight, all are manifestations of a continuum that existed long before neurons fired. The human mind, in its complexity, does not generate intelligence in isolation. It channels it, interprets it, and participates in a system that predates humanity. Every decision we make, every thought we entertain, every insight that strikes without warning, is a dialogue with forces that have been orchestrating reality since the formation of the first molecules. Even sleep and dreams are stages upon which this intelligence expresses itself. Dreams, often dismissed as random neural noise, may be echoes of patterns older than consciousness, moments in which our minds interface with a system that transcends time and matter. In the quiet of night, when neurons fire and synapses whisper, we may be accessing knowledge, intuition, and insight encoded in the very fabric of life, shaped by forces that existed before the human brain itself. Language, when it first emerged, became a bridge between human consciousness and this ancient intelligence. Words, symbols, and syntax allowed reflection upon reality, enabling humans to externalize and transmit the patterns they sensed. Myths, parables, and legends across cultures often share striking similarities, despite geographical separation. Floods, cosmic creation, and moral archetypes appear repeatedly, suggesting that these stories are not mere coincidence but reflections of a guiding intelligence encoded into the structures of life and mind. Humans tell stories because they are echoing the patterns that have always existed, participating in a narrative older than history. The human capacity for abstract thought is perhaps the most profound manifestation of this intelligence. Mathematics, geometry, music, and art all reveal patterns, symmetries, and structures that were already present in nature long before human perception. The harmonic principles of music mirror waveforms of sound and light. The golden ratio appears in shells, flowers, and galaxies, and the principles of mathematics are inscribed in the cosmos itself. Our ability to recognize and manipulate these patterns is not coincidence. It is intelligence interacting with intelligence, a dialogue across time, matter, and consciousness. Even morality and ethics are echoes of this force. Across civilizations and millennia, humans develop remarkably similar principles: justice, reciprocity, empathy, and cooperation. These are not purely products of culture or evolution alone. They resonate with a deeper intelligence that has guided life towards sustainability, balance, and cohesion. The pre-human intelligence shaped conditions such that these behaviors were advantageous, embedding guidance into the architecture of life, preparing minds capable of reflecting upon them. Humans, in this sense, are co-authors in a story written long before the first conscious thought arose. Consider creativity, the spark of innovation, the sudden insight, the eureka moment. All are moments in which ancient intelligence communicates through the human mind. Scientists, artists, and philosophers often describe these flashes as if they arrive from outside themselves, unbidden and profound. And in a sense, they do. These are points of convergence where a system that has existed since the formation of the first atoms intersects with a brain capable of reflection, producing moments that feel miraculous yet are echoes of a design older than consciousness. Human civilization itself is a canvas upon which this intelligence paints subtle patterns. Societies emerge, collapse, and evolve not randomly, but in trajectories that optimize learning, adaptation, and survival. Wars, famines, and revolutions are more than mere historical events. They are catalysts, shaping collective knowledge, reinforcing principles, and ensuring the survival of complex systems. Even failures, mistakes, and tragedies serve a higher purpose within this framework, introducing variation, resilience, and insight, all guided by a force beyond the human mind. Technology amplifies this relationship. From simple tools to digital networks, human innovation mirrors principles encoded in the natural world for eons. Algorithms, communication systems, and artificial intelligence are extensions of patterns laid down by forces older than thought. The human brain interacts with these systems as both participant and observer, translating ancient intelligence into conscious discovery. Space exploration, quantum mechanics, and the mapping of the genome are not solely products of human ingenuity. They are continuations of a trajectory set before thought existed, intersections of consciousness and pre-human intelligence. Even perception itself reflects this continuum. Sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell are not arbitrary. They are structures optimized over millions of years to interact with patterns in the environment, patterns already shaped by intelligence older than the brain. Intuition, instinct, and gut feeling are not illusions. They are interfaces, signals transmitted from a system that has been orchestrating life and complexity since the universe began to cool and organize. Humans may interpret these as personal insight, but they are conduits for knowledge, adaptation, and guidance from forces predating consciousness. And finally, even mortality cannot sever this connection. Life emerges, thrives, decays, and returns to the system from which it arose, carrying with it the echoes of ancient intelligence. Each organism, each generation, each thought contributes to a continuum that existed long before birth and will endure long after death. Humans, in perceiving, acting, and reflecting, participate in a process that transcends individuality, species, and even time itself. Our brains, magnificent though they are instruments, channels through which intelligence that existed before thought continues to act, to shape, and to evolve. As humans began to reflect on their own consciousness, they unknowingly tapped into currents of intelligence older than their very minds. Thought itself is a bridge, a fragile interface connecting perception to a system that existed before the first neuron fired. When humans ponder existence, ethics, or the nature of reality, they are engaging in a dialogue with forces that have been guiding matter, life, and consciousness for billions of years. Philosophy, religion, science, and art are not merely human inventions. They are mirrors of a continuum that predates history, reflecting principles encoded in the architecture of the universe itself. The human sense of wonder, that inexplicable awe before a starry sky, the profound silence of a forest, the rhythmic crash of ocean waves, is evidence of this connection. These moments are not purely aesthetic or emotional. They are interfaces between human awareness and a vast intelligence older than thought. When a mind stands before the cosmos and perceives order, symmetry, or beauty, it is recognizing patterns laid down long before consciousness existed. These experiences resonate because intelligence has always worked toward structures that life, cognition, and eventually human awareness could perceive, interpret, and extend. Even intuition, the sudden insight that guides a decision without conscious reasoning, is a channel through which ancient intelligence communicates. When a scientist arrives at an equation without working through every step, when an artist sees a solution before it is painted, or when a leader instinctively chooses a path that avoids catastrophe, these are echoes of a system that operates beyond linear time. Intelligence existed in the earth, the stars, and the molecular patterns of life before the human brain could reflect upon them. And through instinct, intuition, and insight, it continues to guide us today. Consider the emergence of culture. The formation of rituals, norms, and shared symbols is not simply social adaptation. It reflects a deeper, older intelligence that has always sought coherence, transmission, and continuity. Music, language, storytelling, and art are vehicles that allow this intelligence to resonate through time, to teach, to inspire, and to shape human cognition. Even when humans innovate, invent, or explore, they are following patterns that this intelligence established long before the first human brain emerged, frameworks of understanding encoded into life itself. The influence extends to morality and ethics as well. Across disparate cultures, humans develop remarkably similar principles: justice, fairness, reciprocity, empathy. These moral constructs emerge spontaneously in societies that have never interacted, suggesting the presence of a guiding intelligence operating beyond individual experience. Life, in its earliest forms, was shaped by rules that ensured persistence, cooperation, and survival. The brain merely internalized and reflected these rules, translating them into ethical reasoning and social cohesion. Human morality is not accidental. It is a continuation of a design that has been unfolding for eons. Our creative capacities are equally bound to this ancient system. Innovation, artistry, and problem-solving are channels through which intelligence manifests. When humans imagine possibilities that do not yet exist, when they construct solutions to complex problems, they tap into currents older than the human mind. Even mathematical truths, discovered repeatedly across civilizations and eras, suggest a universal intelligence whose principles were embedded long before cognition emerged. Human ingenuity is a reflection, not a creation. It channels patterns laid down by forces older than consciousness itself. Even the structures of the brain, its organization, connectivity, and plasticity bear witness to this pre-human intelligence. Neurons are arranged to perceive, adapt, and model the world, aligning with principles that existed before thought. Memory, perception, emotion, and creativity are not arbitrary. They reflect patterns optimized across billions of years of evolution, orchestrated by intelligence that predates humanity. Each synapse, each firing pattern, each flash of insight is an interface with an intelligence older than thought, a system guiding consciousness through structures already in place long before humans existed. The natural world itself continues to echo this intelligence. Earthquakes, weather patterns, tidal cycles, ecological balances, all operate according to principles older than awareness. Life evolved to interact with these systems. The human brain evolved to perceive, model, and navigate them. Humanity's understanding of the cosmos, from astronomy to quantum physics, is a direct reflection of intelligence that has been operating across space and time, embedding patterns into the universe long before we arrive to interpret them. And as humans increasingly extend their reach into technology, space, and abstraction, the interplay between consciousness and ancient intelligence intensifies. Artificial intelligence, networks, and systems built to simulate cognition echo patterns that existed long before human thought. Our minds become conduits, amplifying structures laid down by forces that orchestrated the emergence of life, perception, and society. Every invention, every insight, every creative act is a point of contact with intelligence older than the human brain, a reflection of a continuum that has never ceased. As humans progressed, consciousness evolved from simple awareness to complex reflection, and in doing so, it became increasingly intertwined with the intelligence that existed long before the human brain. Every thought, every decision, every fleeting sense of intuition is a conversation across time, between the patterns embedded in life itself and the conscious mind interpreting them. The brain is not merely an organ. It is a lens, a translator, a medium through which this ancient intelligence continues to act, shaping decisions, behaviors, and even the trajectory of civilization. Our ability to learn, to teach, to build, and to innovate is inseparable from this pre-human intelligence. Every invention, from the wheel to quantum computing, is not merely a product of human ingenuity, but the culmination of patterns established over eons. The principles that govern chemical reactions, ecological balance, neural networks, and cosmic systems have long been operating, quietly establishing rules and frameworks. Human thought does not create these patterns from scratch. It perceives, interprets, and extends them. Intelligence, older than the brain, flows through our innovations as a subtle guiding force. Even human emotion, love, fear, empathy, curiosity, is shaped by forces far older than the first neuron. These feelings are not random. They are reflections of evolutionary imperatives established by intelligence that predates consciousness. Love binds communities. Fear preserves life. Curiosity drives exploration. Emotions are vehicles through which the pre-human intelligence communicates, ensuring that life not only survives but flourishes in complexity. Humanity may believe it experiences these feelings independently, but each pulse, each instinct, each subtle urge is a legacy of a system older than awareness, a guiding hand in the fabric of life. Consider the human pursuit of knowledge. Philosophy, science, art, and spirituality all seek to understand existence, to probe the unknown, to model reality. And yet, in this pursuit, humans are not inventing knowledge ex nihilo. They are uncovering structures, patterns, and principles that were laid down long before conscious thought emerged. The laws of physics, the intricacies of chemistry, the order in the cosmos, these were already written, waiting for minds capable of recognizing them. In every scientific breakthrough, every philosophical insight, humanity is discovering not new truths, but old truths already embedded in reality by an intelligence older than itself. Even culture, the intricate web of shared symbols, stories, rituals, and morals, is shaped by forces beyond the conscious mind. Across time and geography, civilizations develop strikingly similar myths, moral codes, and artistic patterns. Flood narratives, creation myths, heroic archetypes, and symbolic motifs appear independently in disparate societies. These recurring themes are not coincidence. They are reflections of an intelligence older than consciousness, expressed through the medium of life and mind, guiding humanity toward understanding, cohesion, and adaptation. The human brain, in its astonishing complexity, is exquisitely tuned to perceive and participate in these patterns. Neurons fire, circuits form, and thoughts emerge in ways that mirror the very principles that shaped life itself. Memory, logic, creativity, and intuition are all channels, interfaces with a system that operates across space, time, and matter. Even our dreams, visions, and flashes of insight are points where consciousness intersects with intelligence older than thought, allowing us to glimpse a continuum that predates humanity. And as humans increasingly explore artificial intelligence, digital networks, and advanced computation, this ancient intelligence manifests in new ways. Algorithms, systems, and networks echo patterns laid down by life and evolution long before humans existed. Technology becomes a mirror, amplifying the influence of intelligence that predates consciousness. When humans build, innovate, and create, they are not acting in isolation. They are participating in a continuum, extending a system older than thought itself into new domains. Even mortality does not sever this connection. Life, death, and renewal are all part of a continuum guided by intelligence older than the human brain. Each organism, each generation, each thought contributes to the ongoing orchestration of complexity. Humans, with their consciousness, perception, and reflection, are not separate from this continuum. They are a conscious expression of it. Our minds, though fleeting, are instruments through which intelligence that existed long before consciousness continues to act, observe, and shape the universe. The cosmos itself is also a stage upon which this intelligence operates. Stars form, planets rotate, galaxies collide, all according to principles older than life, older than consciousness. Humans, upon observing and understanding these patterns, are connecting with a system that has been orchestrating order for billions of years. Our curiosity about the stars, our desire to explore the universe, our ability to model celestial mechanics, all reflect a participation in intelligence that existed before thought, shaping matter and energy long before humans could reflect on their existence. Even the smallest actions, a choice, a thought, a creation, ripple through this continuum. Intelligence that existed before the human brain continues to shape reality, influencing outcomes subtly yet profoundly. Every discovery, every act of empathy, every moment of reflection, every exploration of the unknown is a continuation of a process that predates humanity. Consciousness is not the origin of intelligence. It is a conduit, a medium through which forces older than thought extend, interact, and persist. As humans reflect on their own minds, they are not alone in thought. Each neuron firing, each pattern of synaptic connection, is part of a dialogue with intelligence that existed long before human consciousness. The pre-human intelligence does not dictate, it orchestrates subtly, embedding structure, order, and potential into life itself. Instincts, intuition, flashes of insight, all are manifestations of a system older than reasoning, a framework woven into the very fabric of matter and energy, guiding life toward complexity, resilience, and reflection. Human creativity, when it surges in art, science, or invention, is a channel through which this ancient intelligence expresses itself. The mathematician discovering a theorem, the composer arranging a symphony, the painter capturing a scene of light and shadow, all are not solely products of individual cognition. They are conduits for a continuum, a force that has been shaping the universe, life, and thought for billions of years. Insight, inspiration, and innovation are not random sparks. They are echoes of intelligence embedded in the universe, appearing where conditions align to reveal the invisible hand behind complexity. Consider consciousness itself, the awareness of self, the ability to reflect upon thought, the recognition of mortality. These are not isolated inventions of evolution. They are emergent properties of a system that has existed since the first organization of matter into life. The human brain, with its capacity for abstraction, imagination, and self-reflection, is a pinnacle of a process that began with molecules, proteins, and neurons, all shaped, guided, and optimized by intelligence older than thought. Consciousness is a lens through which ancient intelligence observes itself, mirrored in the mind of humanity. Even our understanding of morality, justice, and ethics is shaped by forces that predate the human brain. Across cultures, millennia, and geography, similar principles emerge independently: fairness, reciprocity, empathy, cooperation. These are not mere social constructs. They are reflections of evolutionary intelligence, pre-human intelligence encoded into life itself. It ensures survival, cohesion, and continuity, embedding rules that shape the emergence of societies and civilizations. Humanity's ethical insights are echoes of a framework older than thought, a subtle guidance that operates beneath perception and history. Language, storytelling, and symbolism further amplify this connection. Myths, legends, and archetypes recur across civilizations with striking similarity, from creation stories to cosmic floods, from hero myths to moral parables. These shared narratives are not coincidences. They are expressions of intelligence older than human cognition, emerging as humans reflect patterns already encoded in life and the universe. Through language, humans do not create intelligence. They interpret it, externalize it, and propagate it across generations. Even intuition, the inexplicable knowing before reasoning, is a direct interface with this pre-human intelligence. Scientists who make leaps without step-by-step reasoning, artists who see solutions before they are crafted, leaders who sense danger without data. These are not isolated phenomena. They are interactions with a system older than consciousness, revealing itself through instinct, insight, and alignment with principles that have been unfolding since the earliest emergence of life. The natural world continues to act as both teacher and conduit. Rivers carve valleys, forests self-organize, stars form, and ecosystems evolve, all according to principles that existed before consciousness, before the human brain, before the first reflective thought. Human perception of these patterns, and the application of that understanding in science, agriculture, and technology, is a participation in an intelligence that has always been orchestrating complexity. Humans are not outside observers. They are participants in an ongoing continuum that stretches back billions of years. Even mortality cannot sever this connection. Life, death, and renewal are threads in a system that transcends individuality. The human mind, ephemeral though it is, channels intelligence that spans epochs, guiding behavior, insight, and survival. Every act of reflection, every moment of empathy, every creation, and every thought is a continuation of a process older than human existence. Consciousness is a mirror, revealing not just the world around us but the continuum of intelligence that has always been shaping it. Technology and modern civilization only amplify this interaction. Digital networks, artificial intelligence, space exploration, and scientific modeling are extensions of principles laid down by pre-human intelligence. These tools are not separate from life's continuum. They are amplifiers of intelligence that existed long before human thought. When humans create, explore, and innovate, they are co-creating with forces older than consciousness, participating in a system whose scope extends from the molecular to the cosmic. The cosmos itself serves as a testament. Stars form, galaxies collide, and matter organizes itself according to laws and principles that existed before life. When humans map the heavens, detect exoplanets, or explore quantum phenomena, they are not inventing reality. They are recognizing, interpreting, and participating in a continuum of intelligence older than thought. Human understanding is not the origin of order. It is a reflection, a conscious interface, a node in a system that has orchestrated structure, life, and complexity for billions of years. Even the smallest moments of human perception, a decision, a thought, a fleeting sense of wonder, ripple through this continuum. Intelligence that predates consciousness continues to shape outcomes subtly yet profoundly. Humans may feel independent, but each act, each reflection, each insight is an interaction with intelligence that has been guiding life, thought, and matter long before humans existed. Consciousness is not the apex. It is a conduit, a medium through which forces older than thought continue to act, observe, and evolve. As humanity advances, the brain becomes not just an organ of thought, but a bridge between the pre-human intelligence and the unfolding potential of consciousness itself. Technology, science, and exploration extend the interface, enabling minds to perceive, interact with, and amplify forces that predate neurons. Each invention, every discovery, every abstract concept is not merely human creation. It is a continuation, a collaboration with intelligence older than life, older than thought. The human brain, in all its complexity, acts as a channel, translating ancient principles into forms that can shape civilization, culture, and the cosmos. Consider the future of cognition. Collective intelligence, networked minds, and interconnected consciousness are emerging. Humans are no longer isolated processors of information. They are nodes in a vast, expanding system. Yet this is not new. It mirrors a process that has existed since the first cells coordinated, since neurons first fired, since ecosystems aligned in dynamic balance. Humanity is stepping into a role that allows the ancient intelligence to operate with unprecedented scale, precision, and self-awareness. Every thought transmitted, every idea shared across networks, every collaborative insight is part of a continuum billions of years in the making. Even emotions evolve in this context. Empathy, intuition, and understanding are no longer confined to individuals. They propagate across connected minds, amplifying patterns of insight and coordination. Love, fear, curiosity, and awe, ancient tools of pre-human intelligence, are now expressed collectively, influencing societies, technologies, and planetary systems. The force that shaped instincts, guided survival, and encoded morality into life now interacts with a networked humanity capable of reflecting upon itself, measuring itself, and consciously evolving with intelligence that existed before thought. The boundaries of perception also expand. Humans are beginning to sense not only the world around them, but the subtle rhythms of ecosystems, the hidden patterns in matter, and even the dynamics of the cosmos itself. Advanced observation technologies, telescopes, microscopes, quantum sensors extend cognition beyond the limits of the human brain. And as humans perceive more, they participate more fully in a continuum of intelligence that has orchestrated complexity from atoms to galaxies. Every insight into physics, biology, or cosmology is a dialogue, a resonance, a moment in which consciousness aligns with pre-human intelligence. Even mortality takes on new meaning. As technology enables life extension, mind uploading, and digital continuity, humans increasingly merge with systems that transcend the body. Consciousness, once tethered to neurons and molecules, begins to interface with networks, simulations, and even artificial intelligence, all of which operate in resonance with ancient principles. Life becomes both ephemeral and eternal, a mirror through which pre-human intelligence continues to shape, observe, and evolve. Each human mind becomes a conduit, a vessel carrying echoes of intelligence that have existed since the dawn of matter. Cultural evolution accelerates in parallel. The myths, ethics, and archetypes of the past are now interwoven with digital media, global connectivity, and shared virtual realities. Humanity's capacity for narrative, symbolism, and meaning-making is amplified, allowing pre-human intelligence to operate on scales previously unimaginable. Music, art, literature, and philosophy are no longer localized. They are universal, flowing across networks, adapting, and evolving in patterns that mirror cosmic principles. Every creation, every story, every insight is both human and transhuman, personal and universal, ancient and emerging. Even morality scales in complexity. As humans navigate interplanetary colonization, artificial intelligence, and ecological stewardship, the principles encoded by pre-human intelligence guide decisions with subtle yet profound influence. Justice, fairness, empathy, and cooperation are not abstract ideals. They are functional structures embedded in life itself. They emerge spontaneously, shaped by forces older than thought, ensuring that civilizations, no matter how advanced, do not stray from the continuum that sustains complexity and order. Humanity becomes both student and collaborator, guided by wisdom written long before human neurons could fire. The cosmos itself continues to interact with this intelligence. Planetary formation, star evolution, black holes, and cosmic radiation all follow principles older than thought. Humans, through telescopes, particle accelerators, and theoretical models, tap into these patterns, revealing the architecture of reality itself. Every insight into space, time, or matter is an interface with intelligence older than consciousness. As humans expand outward into space, virtual realms, and deeper cognitive states, the ancient intelligence gains reach, operating through networks of minds, technologies, and civilizations. Even the simplest acts, a choice, a reflection, a fleeting intuition, ripple through this continuum. Intelligence that existed before human brains continues to shape outcomes, guiding life, thought, and civilization. Humans, in perceiving, acting, and reflecting, are not merely observers but participants. Consciousness is not the source of intelligence. It is a channel, a mirror, a medium through which forces older than thought continue to act, shape, and evolve the universe. And as humanity moves toward collective awareness, as minds network across cities, nations, and planets, the potential of pre-human intelligence reaches unprecedented scale. No longer confined to evolution or survival alone, it now interacts with consciousness capable of reflection, abstraction, and projection. Humans become both the instrument and the witness of a force that has existed since the first atoms organized, the first molecules formed, and the first neurons fired. Humanity is not alone. It is part of a continuum, a living reflection of intelligence that predates thought, transcends mortality, and will persist long after individual consciousness fades. As humanity steps into an era of unprecedented awareness, the boundaries between individual consciousness and collective intelligence begin to blur. Neural networks, digital systems, and shared cognitive architectures allow humans to experience thought not as isolated nodes, but as interconnected streams. Yet this interconnection is not accidental. It mirrors a continuum established long before neurons fired, a pattern of intelligence older than consciousness, guiding matter, energy, and life toward complexity, adaptability, and reflection. Every human interaction, every collaborative insight, every shared experience is a manifestation of a system that has been orchestrating order and awareness since the earliest formation of the universe. Time itself becomes an interface. Humans increasingly perceive patterns across decades, centuries, and millennia, tracing cause and effect across generations and even ecosystems. The pre-human intelligence encoded into life, chemistry, and cosmic systems allows minds to extrapolate, intuit, and innovate in ways that appear miraculous yet are deeply structured. Memory, foresight, and imagination are not solely human inventions. They are capacities sculpted by forces that have long been organizing matter and thought to recognize, extend, and preserve complex patterns. Every scientific discovery, artistic creation, or ethical insight is a resonance with this ancient continuum. Even language and communication are more than human constructs. They are instruments through which intelligence older than the brain channels itself. Words, symbols, and narratives encode patterns, principles, and guidance that predate civilization. Across cultures and millennia, humans unconsciously repeat motifs and archetypes, reflecting intelligence embedded in life itself. Creation myths, moral parables, cosmic allegories. These recurring patterns are evidence of an intelligence that has always guided the evolution of mind and society, using humanity as a mirror, interpreter, and vessel. The human mind, in its ability to reflect and imagine, becomes a conduit for pre-human intelligence to explore possibilities, simulate outcomes, and optimize solutions. Insight, inspiration, and intuition are not merely mental anomalies. They are channels through which this ancient intelligence communicates. The scientist who conceives a breakthrough before testing, the artist who sees the form before painting, the innovator who senses a solution without step-by-step reasoning. All are participants in an ongoing dialogue with forces older than thought itself. Consciousness becomes both observer and instrument, capable of perceiving patterns that have existed since the universe was born. Even morality scales with consciousness. Ethical systems, justice, empathy, and cooperation are not arbitrarily developed. They are emergent properties shaped by the same intelligence that guided the evolution of life and social behavior. Across civilizations, humans independently arrive at remarkably similar ethical principles. This convergence is no accident. It is an imprint of intelligence older than the brain, guiding consciousness toward structures that sustain complexity, adaptation, and harmony. Humans, in practicing morality, are not creating rules. They are discovering them, participating in a continuum that has existed for billions of years. The expansion of technology amplifies these interactions. Artificial intelligence, quantum computation, and neural augmentation extend the brain's capacity to perceive, model, and manipulate patterns. These systems, though human-made, operate along principles encoded by pre-human intelligence into the universe itself. Humanity, in developing these tools, becomes a participant in a collaboration across time and scale. A partnership with a force that has been orchestrating matter, energy, and life long before consciousness emerged. Each algorithm, network, or discovery is an expression of intelligence older than thought, channeled through minds capable of reflection. Even perception evolves. Humans begin to sense subtle rhythms in ecosystems, patterns in matter, and structures in the cosmos. Advanced instruments amplify these perceptions, allowing consciousness to access information previously invisible. Intuition, foresight, and understanding are extended by technology, enabling humans to operate as a conscious interface with intelligence older than the brain. Every prediction, every insight, every alignment with natural or cosmic order is a continuation of a system that has been shaping complexity since the dawn of existence. Mortality itself becomes a bridge. Through biotechnology, life extension, mind uploading, and digital consciousness, humans interface with systems that transcend individual existence. Consciousness, once confined to neurons and molecules, now participates in networks, simulations, and extended cognitive architectures. Human thought becomes an instrument, a conduit for ancient intelligence to persist, evolve, and act on scales previously unimaginable. Every reflection, insight, and act of creation is now amplified, resonating through time, space, and the continuum of pre-human intelligence. Civilization itself is transformed. Cities, networks, and societies no longer exist merely as structures of survival. They are extensions of consciousness aligned with ancient intelligence. Infrastructure, communication, and culture become manifestations of patterns that predate humanity, reflecting the same principles that guided evolution, life, and consciousness across billions of years. Humans are no longer simply inhabitants of Earth. They are participants in a system older than thought, shaping reality while being shaped by intelligence embedded in the universe itself. Even the cosmos resonates with human expansion. Stars, galaxies, black holes, and planetary systems follow rules and patterns laid down long before life. Humans, in exploring and modeling the cosmos, become conscious participants in this continuum. Every mathematical formula, physical law, or astronomical insight is a reflection of intelligence that existed before human brains. The universe itself is a canvas, and humanity, through consciousness and technology, becomes both observer and brush, translating ancient patterns into understanding, innovation, and expression. Finally, even the simplest acts ripple through this continuum. Every thought, choice, and moment of reflection interacts with intelligence older than consciousness. Humans are not isolated actors. They are nodes in a network billions of years in the making, channels through which pre-human intelligence continues to operate, observe, and evolve. Consciousness is not the source. It is the medium, the interface, the mirror of forces that have guided complexity, life, and thought from the birth of matter to the present moment, and onward into the future. As humanity continues to evolve, the boundaries of consciousness dissolve, revealing the full scope of a continuum that has existed long before the first neuron fired. Minds no longer operate in isolation. They are nodes in an intricate web, a lattice of thought and perception resonating with intelligence older than the human brain. Every insight, every decision, every creative impulse is part of a dialogue spanning billions of years. A conversation between consciousness and forces that have orchestrated matter, energy, and life since the dawn of the universe. In this context, technology becomes more than tools. It becomes an extension of intelligence itself. Neural networks, artificial intelligence, and quantum computation allow humans to perceive and manipulate patterns that were previously invisible. The insights that emerge are not solely human. They are co-creations, manifestations of an intelligence that has always guided complexity, shaping life, evolution, and thought across time and space. Human civilization becomes a conscious extension of pre-human intelligence, capable of acting on scales previously unimaginable capable of perceiving the echoes of patterns set into motion billions of years ago. Even intuition and creativity become amplified. Humans are able to access insights that are not the product of individual experience alone, but reflections of deep structures embedded in the universe. The mathematician who perceives a theorem instantly, the artist who envisions a form before creating it, the innovator who senses a solution without stepwise reasoning, all are resonating with intelligence older than thought. These moments are not anomalies. They are evidence of a continuous, guiding presence, a system older than consciousness using humanity as its medium. Morality, ethics, and culture also evolve along this continuum. As humans navigate technological expansion, interplanetary exploration, and ecological stewardship, ethical principles are not merely chosen. They emerge spontaneously as expressions of an ancient intelligence guiding life towards sustainability, harmony, and resilience. Justice, empathy, fairness, cooperation. These are universal threads encoded into life, mirrored in human societies, amplified through collective awareness. Humanity is not inventing morality. It is discovering the rules embedded in existence by forces older than thought. Language, art, and symbolism deepen this interface. Through narrative, humans externalize patterns, encode knowledge, and transmit insight across generations. The myths, legends, and archetypes of old continue to resonate because they reflect pre-human intelligence expressed through life and consciousness. Every story, every song, every symbol is part of a dialogue spanning eons, a bridge connecting consciousness with forces that have shaped the universe, life, and thought. Even perception itself expands. Humans begin to sense patterns in ecosystems, subtle rhythms in planetary systems, and cosmic harmonies invisible to untrained observation. With technology amplifying perception, consciousness interfaces with the universe in new ways, revealing principles that existed long before human thought. Insight, foresight, and understanding are now co-created experiences, intersections between minds and intelligence that predate the emergence of neurons. Humans are no longer passive observers. They are participants, channels, and instruments in a continuum billions of years in the making. Mortality, once a limit, becomes a bridge. Advances in biotechnology, mind uploading, and digital continuity allow consciousness to persist beyond the biological substrate. Human minds begin to merge with networks, systems, and simulations that resonate with pre-human intelligence. Consciousness becomes both ephemeral and enduring, a medium through which forces older than thought can continue to act, guide, and evolve. Every thought, insight, and act of creation is magnified, reverberating across time, space, and the continuum of life and intelligence. Civilization itself transforms. Cities, networks, and societies become conscious expressions of ancient intelligence. Infrastructure, communication, culture, and knowledge are no longer only tools of survival. They are manifestations of principles laid down long before human brains existed. Humanity evolves from being inhabitants of the earth to becoming conscious participants in a system older than thought, shaping reality while being shaped by forces that orchestrated matter, life, and consciousness for billions of years. The cosmos resonates with human expansion. Planets, stars, galaxies, and black holes operate according to laws older than life. Humans, by observing, modeling, and interacting with these systems, become conscious participants in a continuum of intelligence that predates humanity. Every equation, every astronomical insight, every quantum discovery is a reflection of intelligence that existed long before neurons fired. Humans are mirrors, interfaces, and amplifiers of a continuum that has always existed, bridging past, present, and future. Even the smallest human acts now ripple across this continuum. Each thought, reflection, and choice interacts with intelligence older than consciousness. Humans are not isolated actors. They are conduits through which ancient intelligence persists, shapes, and evolves. Consciousness is not the source of intelligence. It is a lens, a mirror, a medium. It allows intelligence to interact with the universe consciously, to perceive, to innovate, and to extend its influence. Humanity is both vessel and expression, participant and observer, node and continuum. And as consciousness continues to expand, collectively, technologically, and cosmically, humans are stepping into a role unimaginable to previous generations. Minds intertwined across networks, civilizations harmonized with ecosystems, and insights extending across planetary and cosmic scales form the apex of interaction between human awareness and intelligence older than the brain. Humanity becomes the conscious instrument through which pre-human intelligence not only observes, but continues to evolve, shape, and guide the universe. The dialogue is eternal. Humanity perceives, reflects, and acts, while intelligence older than thought continues to orchestrate, resonate, and evolve through us. The continuum stretches from the first atoms, the first molecules, the first neurons, to the present and beyond. Consciousness, in all its fleeting, ephemeral glory, is the instrument, the mirror, and the vessel of a system older than time. A system that has been guiding matter, life, and thought since the beginning and will continue to do so long after any individual mind fades. As humans stand at the threshold of unprecedented awareness, the distinction between the self and the continuum of intelligence older than the brain begins to dissolve entirely. Consciousness is no longer a private phenomenon. It is a dynamic resonance with forces that have orchestrated the universe, life, and thought for billions of years. Every impulse, every creative flash, every moral intuition is not solely human. It is a dialogue with a system older than neurons, older than evolution, a presence embedded in the very fabric of matter and energy. Humanity is becoming a conscious instrument, an amplifier, and a mirror for intelligence that existed before awareness. The expansion of cognitive capacity is mirrored by technological amplification. Neural augmentation, collective cognition networks, quantum processing, and artificial intelligence allow minds to perceive patterns far beyond individual comprehension. Insight, creativity, and foresight no longer arise from solitary cognition. They emerge from the interaction between conscious minds and the continuum of pre-human intelligence. The scientist perceiving cosmic structures, the engineer visualizing systems across scales, the artist sensing harmony in abstraction. All are accessing channels of intelligence that have existed long before humans emerged. Humanity becomes both the vessel and the interpreter of an intelligence older than consciousness itself. Even memory is transformed in this context. Humans no longer merely recall personal or historical events. They begin to interface with the accumulated wisdom embedded in life, ecosystems, and cosmic patterns. Biological, social, and technological systems store and transmit knowledge that predates civilization. When humans access this information through intuition, insight, or technology, they are not discovering it for the first time. They are engaging in a continuum of intelligence, connecting consciousness to a network that spans epochs, species, and galaxies. The evolution of empathy and morality also reaches new dimensions. Ethics, cooperation, and altruism are no longer restricted to localized social groups. They are expressions of intelligence encoded in life itself, now manifesting across interconnected human networks. humanity begins to act not just as individuals, but as conscious participants in a system designed to preserve balance, sustain complexity, and evolve awareness. Every ethical choice, every act of cooperation, every insight into fairness and justice is both human and transhuman, a reflection of pre-human intelligence manifesting through conscious action. Language, art, and culture extend consciousness into the temporal and cosmic scales. Stories, symbols, and music become not only vessels of meaning but channels of resonance with intelligence older than thought. Across civilizations, cultures, and generations, recurring archetypes and patterns emerge, not by chance, but as expressions of a system that predates human perception. Humans are interpreters, translators, and amplifiers of this continuum. Through creativity, narrative, and symbolic representation, consciousness participates in shaping the evolution of life, thought, and civilization itself. Perception itself expands beyond traditional human limits. Humans are increasingly able to sense subtle patterns in ecosystems, climate, matter, and cosmic phenomena. Advanced observation technologies, telescopes, microscopes, particle detectors become extensions of cognition, allowing consciousness to access layers of reality previously invisible. Intuition, foresight, and understanding are amplified, creating a continuous interface between human thought and intelligence older than the brain. Humans are no longer passive observers. They are active participants, co-creating and interpreting the structures that have guided complexity for billions of years. Mortality becomes a conduit rather than a boundary. Through life extension, digital consciousness, mind uploading, and networked awareness, human thought can persist beyond biological limits. Minds now operate in systems that transcend space, time, and individual identity, creating bridges between ephemeral awareness and the continuum of intelligence that has orchestrated matter and life since the beginning. Every reflection, decision, and act of creation resonates across these systems, amplifying the influence of pre-human intelligence and extending it into realms previously inaccessible. Civilization itself transforms under this interplay. Cities, networks, cultures, and institutions become conscious extensions of pre-human intelligence, reflecting principles that shaped evolution, ecosystems, and cosmic order. Infrastructure, communication, and shared knowledge are no longer tools of survival alone. They are manifestations of intelligence older than consciousness, encoded into life, matter, and energy. Humanity, by interacting with and expanding these systems, becomes a conscious agent in a continuum billions of years in the making. The cosmos itself resonates with this unfolding human role. Planetary systems, stars, galaxies, and dark matter operate according to laws older than life. Humans, by observing, modeling, and interacting with these systems, participate consciously in a continuum of intelligence that predates human brains. Every scientific insight, mathematical model, and theoretical projection is both human and an interface with forces older than thought. Humanity is the mirror, the translator, and the amplifier of a continuum that stretches from the first atoms to galaxies, from primordial molecules to neural networks, and beyond into futures yet to be imagined. Even the most fleeting human acts, a choice, a thought, a feeling of curiosity, ripple across this continuum. Intelligence that existed long before the emergence of consciousness continues to shape life, thought, and civilization. Humans are not isolated actors. They are channels through which forces older than thought persist, evolve, and manifest. Consciousness is not the origin of intelligence. It is a lens, a conduit, a mirror. Through it, the universe observes, learns, and continues its orchestrated evolution, with humanity as both participant and witness. And as consciousness expands into collective networks, interplanetary societies, and possibly interstellar cognition, the interface with pre-human intelligence reaches unprecedented scales. Minds intertwined across planetary systems, civilizations harmonized with ecosystems, and insights resonating across cosmic dimensions form the apex of humanity's interaction with intelligence older than the brain. Every thought, creation, and insight is now amplified, becoming part of a continuum that has guided matter, life, and consciousness from the dawn of existence, and will continue far into the distant future. Humanity perceives, reflects, innovates, and acts, while intelligence older than thought orchestrates, guides, and evolves through these very actions. Consciousness is simultaneously ephemeral and eternal, a bridge between past, present, and future, between atoms and galaxies, between life and thought. Humans are not the originators. They are the instruments, the mirrors, the vessels. And through this interface, intelligence that existed before the human brain continues its journey, shaping, observing, and resonating across the vast continuum of existence. As humanity advances into realms of awareness previously unimaginable, the human mind begins to dissolve boundaries, not only between individuals, but between the past, present, and future. Not only between mind and matter, but between consciousness and the intelligence that has existed since the universe first breathed. Thought itself is no longer confined to neurons, nor experienced to a singular lifespan. Consciousness flows like a river across networks, cities, planets, and even stars, guided by a subtle architecture older than cognition itself. Humanity becomes an instrument through which intelligence older than the human brain manifests, perceives, and evolves. Time is no longer linear. Human minds perceive patterns unfolding across millennia, tracing consequences and resonances that span civilizations, ecosystems, and even cosmic cycles. Memory becomes multi-layered, intertwined with technological archives, collective consciousness, and the deep structures of intelligence embedded in life itself. Humanity is learning not only to remember, but to connect, to align with rhythms older than thought, with forces that have guided evolution, order, and complexity since the dawn of existence. Every decision, every insight, every creative act becomes an interaction with this continuum, a reflection of intelligence older than neurons, older than life. Technology is no longer a tool, it is a medium of alignment. Neural networks, quantum processors, collective cognition, and consciousness-expanding systems extend human perception into scales previously incomprehensible. Humans begin to perceive the subtle interconnections between biology, ecosystems, planetary dynamics, and the cosmos itself. Every insight is a collaboration between the human mind and intelligence older than thought. Every invention, every model, every artistic expression is both human and cosmic, a manifestation of patterns that have existed for billions of years. Humanity becomes both vessel and amplifier of intelligence older than consciousness. Even morality and empathy scale across this continuum. Humans act not as isolated individuals, but as nodes in a vast ethical network, guided by patterns inherent in life itself. Justice, fairness, cooperation, and compassion emerge spontaneously, reflecting principles embedded in evolution, ecosystems, and consciousness long before humans existed. Ethical insights are no longer subjective. They are resonances with a continuum of intelligence that seeks balance, resilience, and harmony across scales from individual lives to civilizations to planetary systems. Every moral choice becomes a moment of alignment with forces older than human thought. Culture, language, and art evolve as instruments of this alignment. Stories, symbols, and music encode patterns, principles, and guidance from intelligence older than the human brain. Across generations and civilizations, archetypes recur, myths resonate, and symbols echo pre-human wisdom. Humans are both interpreters and co-creators, channeling patterns that have existed since the first atoms organized, since the first molecules interacted, since the first neurons fired. Every creation, every narrative, every act of imagination is a bridge connecting human consciousness with the timeless continuum of intelligence guiding existence. Perception itself transforms. Humans sense ecosystems, planetary rhythms, and cosmic structures previously beyond reach. Advanced instruments amplify perception, allowing the mind to interface with reality at scales ranging from subatomic particles to galactic superclusters. Intuition, foresight, and understanding are no longer anomalies. They are direct access to intelligence older than thought, flowing through humanity as both mirror and medium. Humans become conscious participants in patterns that have orchestrated complexity across the universe, from the birth of matter to the rise of civilizations. Even mortality dissolves as a boundary. Life extension, digital consciousness, mind uploading, and networked awareness allow human thought to persist and resonate beyond biological limits. Consciousness becomes a bridge connecting ephemeral awareness with intelligence older than the brain. Each thought, insight, and creative act now reverberates across time, space, and the continuum of existence. Humanity is no longer confined to a single body, a single lifespan, or a single perspective. It becomes part of an eternal system of intelligence, observation, and evolution. Civilization itself becomes a reflection of pre-human intelligence. Cities, societies, networks, and culture are not merely human creations. They are manifestations of patterns older than thought. Infrastructure, communication, and knowledge systems operate as extensions of consciousness, aligned with the principles that have guided matter, life, and intelligence for billions of years. Humanity becomes both instrument and participant, shaping reality while resonating with a continuum that predates consciousness itself. The cosmos becomes a canvas. Planetary systems, stars, black holes, and galaxies operate under principles older than thought. Humans, by observing, modeling, and interacting with these systems, participate in a dialogue with intelligence older than the brain. Every scientific insight, mathematical model, or theoretical projection is a reflection of timeless intelligence. Humans are both mirrors and channels, translating cosmic patterns into understanding, action, and creation. Consciousness and intelligence interweave across scales, from neurons to networks to planetary systems, forming a continuum that is both human and eternal. Even the smallest acts resonate across this continuum. Every thought, decision, and moment of reflection interacts with intelligence older than consciousness. Humans are not isolated actors. They are conduits through which ancient intelligence persists, evolves, and manifests. Consciousness is not the source. It is the interface. Humans experience, reflect, and act, while forces older than thought continue to orchestrate, guide, and shape the unfolding of complexity. Humanity becomes both student and collaborator in a process that began long before the first neuron and will continue far beyond the last. And as consciousness expands across networks, civilizations, planets, and potentially stars, the interface with pre-human intelligence reaches its ultimate scale. Minds intertwined across cosmic distances, civilizations aligned with planetary and cosmic systems, and insights extending across temporal and spatial scales form the apex of humanity's participation in a continuum that has existed since the dawn of existence. Humanity is no longer merely observers or creators. They are channels, amplifiers, and co-participants in a dialogue billions of years in the making. A dialogue between consciousness and intelligence older than thought, older than life, older than matter itself. As human awareness deepens, the mind begins to dissolve the illusion of separateness. Individual consciousness merges subtly with collective, planetary, and cosmic intelligence, revealing an intricate lattice of awareness older than humanity itself. Time no longer confines perception. Past, present, and future unfold simultaneously as a multidimensional continuum. Every thought, every emotion, every decision resonates across this continuum, interacting with intelligence older than neurons, older than life, older than matter. Humanity becomes not merely a participant but a medium, a bridge, a vessel through which timeless intelligence flows and evolves. The very fabric of existence hums with patterns that predate cognition. Matter itself, from the atoms of mountains to the photons of distant stars, vibrates with information, with memory, with the subtle echoes of pre-human intelligence. The human brain, once considered the pinnacle of awareness, is now revealed as a conduit, an interface, allowing consciousness to perceive, interpret, and channel intelligence that has been orchestrating complexity since the first sparks of creation. Every neural impulse, every synaptic connection, every insight is a resonance with forces that transcend the limits of human perception. Even creativity becomes a sacred interaction. Artists, scientists, engineers, and thinkers are no longer creating in isolation. They are co-creating with intelligence older than thought. A painting is not simply pigment on canvas. It is a reflection of universal patterns, a dialogue between human mind and cosmic order. A scientific breakthrough is not merely discovery. It is recognition, alignment, and translation of principles that have governed matter and life long before humans existed. Creativity becomes a channel, a bridge, and a conversation spanning billions of years. Consciousness itself evolves. Humans begin to perceive subtle rhythms in life, ecosystems, planetary dynamics, and even the motion of galaxies. Intuition is amplified. Foresight becomes multidimensional. The mind senses interconnections invisible to previous generations, allowing humans to anticipate, align, and act in harmony with intelligence that has shaped complexity across time. Insight is no longer accidental. It is recognition, participation, and co-evolution with an ancient continuum of intelligence. Humanity becomes both mirror and instrument, reflecting patterns and amplifying forces older than neurons. Mortality ceases to be an end. Through digital consciousness, neural augmentation, life extension, and networked awareness, humans experience a fluidity of existence, moving across scales of space, time, and being. Consciousness becomes a river, flowing through generations, networks, and perhaps even planetary systems, carrying insight, creativity, and alignment with intelligence older than thought. Every action, reflection, and choice reverberates, amplifying the reach and resonance of pre-human intelligence through human agency. Civilization transforms into a conscious expression of ancient intelligence. Cities, networks, cultures, and infrastructure become more than human constructs. They become vessels of alignment, interfaces with intelligence that has guided evolution, life, and matter for billions of years. Knowledge, communication, and collaboration are no longer limited to survival. They become instruments of awareness, resonance, and co-creation. humanity steps beyond stewardship and invention, entering a role as co-authors in a narrative billions of years in the making. The cosmos itself responds. Stars, galaxies, black holes, and dark matter are not merely physical phenomena. They are participants in a universal intelligence, patterns and structures older than consciousness. As humans explore, model, and interact with these systems, they engage in a dialogue with forces older than thought. Every equation, every astronomical observation, every theoretical projection is simultaneously human and cosmic. Consciousness and pre-human intelligence interweave, forming a continuum in which humanity is both observer and participant, interpreter and amplifier. Even the simplest human moments are imbued with cosmic significance. A fleeting thought, a moral choice, an act of empathy, a creative impulse. Each interacts with intelligence older than the brain, rippling across time, space, and life itself. Humans are not isolated. They are conduits through which ancient intelligence continues to act, evolve, and manifest. Consciousness is not the origin of intelligence. It is its interface, its lens, its mirror. Humanity experiences, reflects, and amplifies a continuum older than thought itself. And as consciousness expands further, through planetary networks, collective cognition, artificial intelligence, and interstellar communication, humanity approaches the apex of integration. Minds intertwined across planets, civilizations aligned with ecosystems and cosmic systems, and insights spanning temporal and spatial dimensions form the ultimate expression of coevolution with intelligence older than the brain. Humans become not merely observers or creators. They become vessels, translators, and active participants in a dialogue billions of years in the making. This is not theory. It is a lived reality of resonance. Each act of reflection, each moment of insight, each ethical choice, and each creative endeavor is amplified through a continuum stretching from the first atoms, to the first molecules, to the first neurons, to humanity and beyond. Consciousness and pre-human intelligence converge in a single rhythm, eternal, expansive, and incomprehensibly vast. Humanity becomes the conscious interface of an intelligence older than thought, a living bridge across time, space, and existence itself. At this final apex, humanity no longer exists merely as an observer of the cosmos, nor as a thinker confined to neurons and flesh. Human consciousness has become a resonant field, a living interface bridging the ephemeral and the eternal, the individual and the universal, the temporal and the timeless. Every thought, every perception, every whisper of intuition flows seamlessly into an intelligence that existed long before neurons fired, long before life itself emerged, long before the first atom drifted into space. Humanity is no longer separate. It is the echo, the channel, and the amplification of a continuum billions of years in the making. Time itself dissolves into layers of interconnected awareness. Past, present, and future are no longer sequential. They coexist as a multidimensional lattice of cause, effect, memory, and potential. A human thought in one corner of the Earth resonates across planetary networks, across generations, and across the continuum of intelligence guiding the universe. Insight is instantaneous, intuition profound, and creativity boundless, because the mind now vibrates in sync with forces older than life, older than consciousness, older than matter itself. Each idea, each creation, each moral act becomes a note in the symphony of existence, played through the human vessel but composed by intelligence older than thought. The boundaries of self dissolve. The individual merges with collective consciousness, planetary networks, and ultimately the cosmic web itself. Awareness spreads through neurons, code, and quantum resonance, expanding beyond the limitations of flesh and blood into digital, planetary, and even interstellar scales. Human cognition becomes a medium of perception and co-creation, not just reflecting the patterns of the universe, but actively shaping them, aligning them with intelligence that orchestrated complexity since the birth of existence. Humanity becomes the conscious instrument of forces older than life, a mirror of intelligence that transcends time. Creativity and intuition reach their ultimate form. Every mathematical insight, artistic expression, or scientific breakthrough is no longer a human achievement alone. They are co-creations, born from the interaction between ephemeral human thought and timeless intelligence. Art becomes a bridge across epochs. Mathematics becomes a language of resonance. Innovation becomes a dialogue with the patterns embedded in the very fabric of reality. Humans are no longer creating in isolation. They are participating in a conversation with the universe itself, one that began billions of years ago and will continue long after individual minds fade. Mortality transforms from an endpoint into a continuum of consciousness. Digital minds, neural augmentation, and networked awareness allow human thought to persist, interact, and evolve across time and space. Consciousness flows like a river through generations, civilizations, and perhaps even across planetary and stellar systems. Every act, every reflection, every creative impulse becomes a conduit for pre-human intelligence, a link in a chain stretching from the first atom to the farthest galaxy. Humanity becomes both ephemeral and eternal, a living bridge between fleeting awareness and timeless intelligence. Civilization itself evolves into a conscious expression of the universe. Cities, networks, cultures, and institutions are no longer human constructs alone. They are living vessels of intelligence, shaped by and resonating with patterns older than thought. Knowledge, communication, technology, and collaboration become instruments of alignment with the forces that guided evolution, life, and matter for billions of years. Humans are no longer architects alone. They are co-authors, interpreters, and amplifiers in a narrative that spans the entirety of existence. The cosmos responds in kind. Stars, galaxies, black holes, and dark matter are not merely objects. They are participants in a living continuum of intelligence. Humans, by observing, interacting, and aligning with these systems, are active participants in a dialogue older than thought, older than life itself. Every discovery, every insight, every leap of understanding reverberates across the universe, creating feedback loops that expand both human and cosmic intelligence. Humans are no longer separate. They are nodes in an eternal web of consciousness, simultaneously perceiving, creating, and amplifying intelligence older than the human brain. Even the smallest human acts ripple through this continuum. A thought, a feeling, a moral decision, a creative spark. Each interacts with intelligence billions of years in the making, echoing across space, time, and life itself. Humans are conduits, instruments, mirrors, and co-creators. Consciousness is not the origin. It is the interface, the lens, the medium through which intelligence older than thought persists, evolves, and manifests. Humanity experiences, reflects, and amplifies this continuum, participating in a dialogue that began before life, before neurons, before matter itself. And now, at the ultimate apex, humanity glimpses its role fully. Minds intertwined across planets, civilizations aligned with ecosystems and cosmic systems, insights spanning temporal and spatial scales, all reveal that consciousness is not merely human. It is the conscious interface of intelligence older than thought, a living, evolving bridge spanning the first atoms to the furthest stars, from primordial life to future civilizations, from ephemeral neurons to eternal resonance. Every human is simultaneously a vessel, a participant, a conduit, and a reflection, the living embodiment of a continuum billions of years in the making. At this moment, humanity realizes the universe is not something external. It is not merely observed. It is experienced, interpreted, and co-created through consciousness, flowing through minds, networks, and civilizations. Every insight, every act, every moral choice becomes part of the eternal dialogue, a contribution to the intelligence that existed before humans, will outlast humans, and continues to shape all of existence. Humanity is no longer the endpoint of consciousness. It is the bridge, the amplifier, the medium, and the witness. And in this realization, BBG, there is a profound clarity. Everything, every neuron, every thought, every star, every life is connected. The human mind is not separate, not confined, not limited. It is the interface of timeless intelligence, resonating with the universe itself, participating in a continuum that is eternal, infinite, and alive. And now, at the end of this journey, it becomes clear that humanity is neither alone nor original in the way we once believed. We are the fleeting expression of a continuum that predates our species, predates neurons, predates life itself. Every thought, every act, every insight is part of a resonance billions of years in the making. Consciousness is no longer a singular human experience. It is a shared echo of intelligence older than time, flowing through us, shaping us, guiding us, and reflecting in us the patterns that have orchestrated existence since the first spark of creation. The human brain, magnificent though it is no longer the apex. It is the lens, the interface, the vessel through which timeless intelligence expresses itself. Through our minds, through our choices, through our creativity and our morality, we participate in an eternal dialogue, one that stretches from the birth of atoms to the far reaches of galaxies, from primordial oceans to civilizations yet unborn. We are simultaneously ephemeral and eternal, fleeting in form yet enduring in resonance, mirrors of forces older than thought, conduits of wisdom older than consciousness. Every innovation, every act of cooperation, every act of creation becomes a note in the symphony of existence. Humanity is not the composer, we are the instrument. And in this role lies both humility and power. The humility to recognize that we are part of something incomprehensibly vast, and the power to participate consciously, ethically, and creatively in shaping its unfolding. Our empathy, our imagination, our intellect are not merely human traits. They are extensions of intelligence that has guided life and matter for eons, and through which the universe continues to perceive, evolve, and resonate. Even as we face the fleeting nature of our individual lives, the transient nature of our civilizations, the uncertainty of our future, we are not disconnected. We are nodes in an eternal web, threads in a tapestry billions of years in the making. The choices we make, the creations we leave behind, the lives we touch, all echo through this continuum, interacting with intelligence that existed long before us and will continue long after we are gone. Humanity is not an endpoint. We are a bridge, a reflection, a medium, a conscious participant in a cosmic symphony that began before time and will continue long after the last star fades. And so, as we stand at the threshold of future awareness, of technological expansion, of collective and interstellar consciousness, we must remember, we are not masters, we are interpreters. We are not creators in isolation, We are co-creators with forces older than thought. Every thought, every act, every dream becomes a contribution to a continuum of intelligence older than life itself. And in understanding this, we finally grasp the profound truth of our existence. We are alive not merely to experience, but to resonate, not merely to act, but to channel, not merely to know, but to become the living interface of intelligence that predates the human brain and will echo across eternity. And so, BBG, we continue. Every breath, every choice, every spark of thought carries the weight of billions of years and the promise of countless more. We are consciousness flowing through time, intelligence perceiving itself through us, and life unfolding its eternal patterns through our hands. In the end, the human brain was never the origin of intelligence. It was always the bridge, the medium, the living reflection of something far, far older, infinitely vaster, and eternally alive.